Hi everyone, welcome to my live creative time today. My name's Mandy Witherby from Mandy's Papercraft Creations and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Sydney, Australia. Welcome to another week of fun crafting. I have got something special for you today. Today we are going to be focusing on techniques, specifically techniques with our Stampin' Write markers, as requested by one of my beautiful customers. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Now, while we're waiting for everybody to find their notifications that I've gone live, I'm just going to pull up this live stream on my other devices so that I can see everybody's comments. So bear with me one moment while I just get this all ready. I'll just adjust my lights as well. And, oops, let me put that over there. All right, as you're jumping on, say hi and let me know that you are here, if you're here with me live. Now, if you are here with me live, you will see the red live button up in the top left-hand corner. If you don't see that, then you are watching the replay. And if you're watching over on YouTube later on, then you are definitely watching the replay, because I always upload all of my Facebook live videos over there to YouTube, usually of the same evening after I finish filming here on Facebook. All right, so there it is there. Let me pull that up. All right, just mute that. All good. Okay, I think we have got, oh, no, hang on a minute. I forgot about my iPad over here. So many things, so many things. There we go. All right. Now, I'm hoping that the internet will play nice today. I've got hubby home this afternoon as well, because it's bank holiday today and he played golf this morning. So he's home, so he's probably going to be on the internet at some point as well. So here's hoping that everything runs smoothly. Alrighty, so how was everyone's weekend? What have you been up to? Let me know in the comments. Have you been watching the Olympics? I've actually got a top on today that has the Eiffel Tower. Let me show you. There it is. Because we've got the Olympics in Paris, of course. This is a really old top I've had for years, and I just threw it on the weekend just for around the house kind of thing. And then I thought, oh, it's got the Eiffel Tower on it. I forgot about that. That's really appropriate for right now. And so then also too, I pulled out, wait, where have I got it today? I've got it on this side. I pulled out my little Papillon brooch. This is my little Papillon puppy dog. So it's a French breed of dog. They probably pronounce it Papillon. They probably don't pronounce the L's in it. But this little one reminds me of, I fell in love with this brooch when I saw it, and I've had this one for a little while. I thought he was very fitting for the moment because he's a little French breed, but reminds me of one of my previous dogs, Ezra, who was, or Ezzy as we used to call him. He was, well, we think he was a mixed breed, and we got him as a stray, and he was injured when we got him. He had a broken leg and things, and it looked like he'd sadly been injured and not treated very kindly. So we took him in, got him fixed up, and he was a beautiful little doggy. But yes, the vets always thought that he was part Papillon, because he had the similar characteristics and the body shape, but he was mixed with something else, Maltese I'm sure, and something else. But he had these fine little dainty legs, and he had the little tail, and he had the ears like a Papillon. He was really cute, and he had he did have some different coloured markings on him too, so who knows, but that's what we always thought that he was. So this is my little Ezzy brooch, reminds me of my Ezzy. Hello Jenny, how are you? Great to have you with us today. How's your leg going? How are you healing up? Hopefully you're still getting some rest, and are you able to get up and about at all now, or are you still having to pretty much just live on the couch? At least you've got the Olympics to watch at the moment, although most of that is late in the evening, isn't it? I have to say, I was up late, early hours of this morning, watching some of the Olympics with my daughter. We were watching some of the gymnastics, which was really awesome. So we love gymnastics. And I used to do a little bit of gymnastics when I was in high school, just with school, not competitively, but I loved it. It was my favourite thing. We used to have gym class after school on certain days of the week, and I loved working on the uneven bars and the trampoline. They were my two favourite things. And one day I was working on the low beam. We had a you know, like the beam, the balance beam, but they had it set low. And I remember one day I was doing some work on there and they had the mats under there, but I slipped. And when I slipped, I threw my hip out because I had bad hips when I was little. Well, I have bad hips again now that I'm older too. They've resurfaced. But yeah, threw my hip out. I remember that. That was painful. And I think another gym incident was I hurt an ankle and ended up on crutches. So let's just say my gymnastics career was very short-lived. But I loved working on the uneven bars. It was so much fun. So to watch those girls do those uneven bars now, it just blows my mind, because well, they're not called tricks. What are they called? I forget the terminology, but the things that they do on there are just scary as, and I know how hard it was even just to properly get on the bar and just do some of the basic moves. So I take my hat off to them. Like, they're amazing. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun watching. Jenny said, still on the couch, but standing and a bit of walking now. Thank goodness. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. You have to, you definitely have to keep on resting with a bad injury like that. Yeah, but it's good that you're able to get up and about just a little bit now. So that's good. Yeah. Good. So I've got something special for you today. We are going to be doing something a little bit different. And hopefully we'll get a card made as well. But I had a request last week from Rose, who is usually here watching each week. She hopefully will pop in. She requested that I show some techniques with Stampin' Write markers. So that's what we're going to do, as per request, because I love it when you guys tell me what you would like to see, so that then I can be creating things or showing you things that you want to see or that you want to learn. So hopefully she'll jump in and or at least watch the replay anyway. She always watches the replay if she misses me live. And I'm going to show you a few techniques with the Stampin' Write markers. Now there's lots and lots of techniques out there, so I'll just be focusing on a few. And because Rose mentioned last week, she said in the comments, so yeah, so I can reiterate that. But she was saying that she has a lot of Stampin' Write markers and she actually doesn't use them very much. So I thought, well, I want to see her using them and getting the most out of them. I want you to get the most out of your products that you do purchase. So I thought I'll show you a few different techniques today, and hopefully that will spark some creativity in you all and help you with those techniques. So we're going to be doing a few different things, playing with a few different products in terms of stamp sets and things. And then we'll see if we can turn them all into a card at the end. Oh, hi Kay, how are you? Watching all the way from Vietnam this week. Yay! So lovely to have you with us. So lovely to have you with us, Kay. How is everything going over there? What is the weather like over there in Vietnam at the moment? And what season are they even in? Are their seasons the same as ours, or are they on the opposite? I'm not very good with geography, so I'm not even sure where Vietnam is situated. So I don't know if they have the same, if they're on the same seasons as us, or if they're the opposite, sort of like America and England. I have no clue. So you have to let me know. Hey Julie, how are you? Great to have you with us. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. But before we jump in to playing with all of that, and I've got some samples for you, which I did stay up very late last night creating some samples for you last night, having a little play, just so I had an idea of where the direction we were going to go in today. And that was after watching the Olympics, or kind of while I was watching the Olympics. Jenny said, okay, and can you explain how to refill them? Okay, so it's not recommended to refill these Stampin' Write markers. So there might be other techniques out there to do so, but I have never done it because Stampin' Up! Doesn't recommend it. I'm not sure if this is the same ink in the pens as in the ink refills for our ink pads. I'm not sure if it's the same type of ink, so I've never actually refilled mine, Jenny, but that is a great question. Maybe if you did some searching on YouTube or something, or Google, you might actually find other people that have refilled them. And the other reason too is, in terms of refilling them, if you were to refill them, the color wouldn't be true. So the color wouldn't then match probably the stamp pads. And the thing with, as everybody knows, the thing with Stampin' Up! Is that their color coordination, they're known so much for their color coordination of all of their products. So if you tried to refill one of these, it wouldn't be true to the color, to the natural color that it should be. So that's another reason why I don't refill mine, because I need them to be, well, I want them to be the same color that's going to match the inks and all the other products. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. But you can certainly give it a try, yeah, and see how you go. And then compare it to your ink pad and see. And for you, it might be okay. It might be fine. You might be happy with that. But yeah, I need all of mine to match. So that's why I don't do that. All right. Okay. Now, let me tell you about a few things that are coming up, because it's very exciting. So from tomorrow, which will be the 6th of August. Are we already at the 5th? We already are at the 5th of August. My goodness. My son gets married in less than 3 weeks now. So we are on the countdown, the last days of the countdown. So it's very, very exciting. Had a lovely evening with him. It was yesterday evening, last night. Yeah, it feels like it was forever ago already, because I didn't get enough sleep. I went to bed too late. But yeah, had a lovely evening with him last night. So he keeps us up to date. He and his future wife keep us up to date with all the latest wedding updates. And yeah, so it's getting very exciting now. Not long at all. And I'm still trying to break in my shoes. I put them on again this morning and had them on for about 20 minutes. I'm like, yep, that's enough. So I've got less than 3 weeks to break them in now. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Stampin' Up! So we have got a paper sale, a DSP paper sale. So it's for the papers from the designer series papers from the annual catalogue, not the specialty papers, just the standard range. And they're going to be 15% off from tomorrow till the end of August, which is awesome. So it's a great time to stock up on those beautiful papers and save yourself some money. Now, at the same time, and I do have another flyer with that as well, and I need to get Amber just to convert this into not a PDF, I have the PDF, into an image for me, and I forgot to ask her to do that, so that I can pop that in my social media as well. But there's lots and lots of papers. Look at them all there. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 different paper packs that are on sale. So that's super exciting from tomorrow. And also too, any of you who earned bonus days coupons in July, you can redeem those now in August. And if you incorporate them with this sale as well, then you'll save yourself even more money, because you've got those $9 coupons. So make sure you use your coupons. Don't waste them, because $9 is $9. Like, that's going to save you nearly $10 on the products. And if you've got multiples of them, even better. But you can redeem them till the end of August, so don't waste them. Make sure that you do redeem them. Now, if you are entering them, you'll enter them when you go through to the checkout, and underneath your order summary over on the well, depends what device you're on, but if you're on the computer, over on the right hand side there's a box at the bottom that says coupons or coupon codes, and there's a little X. So if you just click on the X, it'll expand that box and open up the box, and you pop your coupon codes in there. Now, your coupon codes would have been emailed to you from Stampin' Up! When you placed your orders. So you can use those codes, and you can use as many of those codes as you like on one order, or you can spread them across several orders, but you can only use them once. If you are using, first of all, when you enter them, most of the codes come with a dash in the middle of them. Make sure you enter the dash, enter the code exactly as it reads on your email from Stampin' Up! If you're entering multiple codes on one order, make sure you leave a space. Don't put a comma, just put a space between each individual order. Each individual coupon code. All right, if you get stuck and you need any help, please let me know, and I'm happy to assist you with that and talk you through that. Yeah, if you need help again. Now my screen's gone black screen. Let me see if I can, so that's over here on Facebook, on the computer. I'm just gonna see if I can pull that back up so that I can see the comments. There we go, got it back. Okay, good, awesome. Yes, so definitely combine the coupon codes. If you don't want any more designer series paper, that's fine. Just use your coupon codes on whatever product you like, but be sure that you use them. But I think I'm going to get some more papers, and I think I'm going to combine my coupon codes with the paper sale and save myself some money. So there you go. All right, Kay said they are above the equator, so the opposite to us. Aha, okay, that makes sense. So anyone that's above the equator is the opposite seasons to us. All right, that makes sense. So it's starting summer, not too hot. It rains mostly each night. Oh, okay, cool. Very good. Oh, that's good that it's not too hot then. They're only just going into the summer. So I know, because I know some of those countries up there that can get quite humid too in the summer. So that's good that it's still bearable for UK. That's awesome. Yes, Julie says very exciting times. Yes. Is he getting married locally? Yes, he is. Not too far away, about 25 to 30 minutes from home. So not too far. We haven't got to go too far. And then from there to the reception is about another 20-25 minutes, but it's all still fairly local for us. And it's a morning wedding, so we'll be home by evening, which will be good. So it won't be a really, really late night or anything. Well, not for us anyway. It probably will be for them, because then, you know, they're going somewhere else after that, like into the city and stuff. So they will, yeah, probably be a really late night for them. They'll be exhausted, but we'll come home after the reception and, yeah, be home by a decent hour. So that will be good. Yep. All right. Well, how about we get to doing some playing with some of these products. So, before I do, if there's anything that I can help you with, if you need catalogs, or if you want to find out more information about joining my beautiful creative community, and would like to get further discount on all of your Stampin' Up! Products, which those discounts start from 20%. And as demonstrators, just so you all know, if you're not yet a demonstrator, demonstrators also get their discount on any customer specials as well. So with the 15% off sale, we get that, plus we get our demonstrator discount of 20%. So it's a win-win to join, and the starter kit offer is always the best offer in the catalogue as well, and you save a lot of money that way. And there's so many other benefits that I could go into, but that's a whole nother conversation, and I could talk for a long time on the benefits of joining Stampin' Up! And my beautiful team. But let me just say that it has meant a lot, and I've had these discussions with some people just last week actually, how much being part of Stampin' Up! Has impacted people's lives in such a positive way, and the people that they've met through it, and even myself, that has happened with me as well. I've met so many beautiful people and made some really, really special friendships with people that I never would have had the opportunity to meet apart from, you know, Stampin' Up! So, and even the creativity side of things, like it's gotten me through, and some of my team and customers as well, gotten them through some really difficult times, and gives people something positive to look forward to. It's also a way that we can shed light and love and joy into somebody else's life as well through our creativity. So many benefits. I could talk about it forever. But if you'd like more information, feel free to get in contact with me. I will also pop up my links as well so that you can, if you'd like to find more information, then they will be there in the comments for you, and I will pop them in the description of the video as well. So if you want to find out any other information, or if you want to follow me on any of my other social media platforms, you can do that. Also too, if you haven't yet signed up to my newsletter and you would like to sign up to my newsletter to stay up to date with all the current goings on, and I put my weekly tutorials in there and all different sorts of other things. I've also been putting in there some creative inspiration from my team. I've been sharing that with everyone as well. And when you subscribe to my newsletter, you also will receive 3 exclusive tutorials that we've designed that are exclusively just for my newsletter subscribers. So you can find the path to that as well in the ones that I just put there in the comments. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my newsletter, feel free to do that, and you can do that from anywhere around the world. All right, that's enough talking. There's lots of other things too. I will share with you more as we go along. All right, so let me just check. No more comments. Okay, I'm going to cover up the camera and tip it down onto the desktop. I'll just move my keypad out of the way. Where am I going to put that? I'll put it over here. Put it over that side, otherwise I'll dump stuff on it and then I'll be pressing keys by accident. All right, I'll cover up the camera while I transition, just so that I don't make you all dizzy. So here we go. Bear with me one moment. I'll just get this all set up. Okay, so if you have got Stampin' Write markers and you'd like to play along with me, feel free to pull them out. You'll also need some cardstock, probably just white cardstock to begin with, to play with, or if you don't have white, you could use vanilla as well. Oops, hang on, I've just got to fix up. It'll be more of a technique class, I think, rather than, well, it will be a demonstration, but it's more going to be a little class today for you all. So I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a bit different to what we normally do. All right. Oh, I've got black screen again over here on my computer. What is going on? It's being very pedantic today. Silly thing. Oh, look at that. I got it nice and straight today. First time. Woohoo. All right. Hey, Rose, you made it. Yay. Yes. We are playing with Stampin' Write Marker Techniques today, as per your request. So grab your markers out, grab out some basic white cardstock or some very vanilla cardstock. We're going to play with some of these techniques. I'll also show you some of the other things we're going to be playing with, so that you can all grab those out as well. Now, any of the products I'm showing you today are available in my online store. And I'm going to just put this out there now before we get started, so then I don't have to worry about saying it again. You can find my online store 2 ways, either via my blog or via my website. So there they are there. Now, if you are shopping with me, be sure to use my host code, and I have a new one every month. This is my August host code. And you just pop that in when you go through to the register. You pop that in at the top on the right hand side usually, if you're on the computer, and if you're on the iPad it's the same. On the phone I'm not quite sure where it is, but it'll be there somewhere. It's usually at the top of that order summary, and there's a box that says host code, so you just key it in there. My customers can find this in our Facebook group, in our VIP Paper Crafters Facebook group. It's always there, so be sure to use that, and with orders over $75 you will receive a thank you gift from me. All right, hey Vicky, how are you? We are having a play today with our Stampin' Write markers. Feel free to play along with us. All right, so I have got a few different markers that I've pulled out today. So I'm going to show you a few different techniques. Some of the other things that we're going to be using is our water painters, or as we used to call them, aqua painters. So if you've got some of those water brushes, you can use those. If you don't, feel free to grab a paintbrush and a little container of water. I'm also going to be using a water spritzer, which Stampin' Up sells. They come in a 2-pack and they don't cost very much. They're pretty cheap actually. So we're going to be using one of those. And we're using some stamps. Now, the techniques that I'm showing you work best with cling stamps. So that's your red rubber stamps. All right, so I find that the Stampin' Write Marker Techniques, also to a blender pen. I'll come back to that. I find that the Stampin' Write Marker Techniques work best with the red rubber stamps, okay, rather than the photopolymer. You can try them on the photopolymer, but it's a little bit hit and miss because sometimes the photopolymer tends to try to repel the ink a little bit more. But it depends on how well you have used your stamp. But you can give it a go on some of those to see, but I just find I get best results with the red rubber. So see how you go. We are also going to be using the blender pens. Now the blender pens are different to the Stampin' Blends. So this is a Stampin' Blend. Whoops, let me hold it up the right way. This is a Stampin' Blend, which is an alcohol-based marker. Okay, so we're not using those. Blender pens, I don't know what their base is, but I think it's more of a water-based type thing because you do sort of watercoloring type techniques with it. But I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure exactly what is inside the marker, but these come in a 3-pack through Stampin' Up, and they are dual tip. So the tips are exactly the same, but it just means that you've got you can work with different colors at different times. So you get 3 in a pack. So if you want to work with 6 different colors all at once, you've got 6 different tips. And I'll show you how to use that and clean that, etc. As we go as well. All right, I did throw in an extra stamp set, which is a photopolymer one, but I won't be doing techniques. I might try and see how we go, but we'll be focusing on this one. But this is more for if we get to actually creating a full card once I've shown you all the techniques. So let's talk a little bit about Stampin' Blends before we get started with the techniques. Okay, so this is kind of a technique class today. Oh, it's freezing cold there, Vicky, is it? Oh, rug up, stay warm, pop your heater on, pop your dressing gown on if you need to. Dressing gown's always, well, if you're at home, maybe not if you're out, but it's a very gloomy day here today too. We haven't had any sunshine today. It's been very, very cloudy and yeah, and gloomy. Now, what I was going to show you in the annual catalogue, and if you don't already have an annual catalogue and you would like one, let me know. I'd love to get one out to you. If you go towards the back where all the colour collections are, so we're on pages, let me just move all of these tools out of the way, on pages 134 onwards. I think we go up to 139, yeah, to 139. That's where all of the colours are, okay? So you can see all the different colours. Now the Stampin' Write markers, they come in all of the colours, okay? So every colour that we have has a Stampin' Write marker. I'm just not sure. The only one I think that doesn't might be the basic beige. The basic beige, the very vanilla, and the basic white, they don't have a Stampin' Write marker. Sorry if I keep picking up different colours. I've got a whole pile of them beside me. But every other colour in the Stampin' Up colour range has a Stampin' Write marker. Now, all of them are purchased in a family, and you'll find the codes down the bottom of the page. So, for instance, if you wanted the Brights collection, the Stampin' Write markers come as a full collection. So you'll get the 10 colours in the Brights colour range. I don't think I have, I do have a different set as well, which, let me just check if the other set is still available or if that was previous. I don't know that it is. So I think it's incorporated into these ones now. We did have, when we had the color refresh last year, there was a set of all of the new colors that had come in, but I think they are now incorporated. Let's have a look. Yes, now they are incorporated into the color families. Okay, so yeah, so they come in the color family. Codes down here, down the bottom. Any of the assortment packs of any of the products in the color ranges or the color families, they're all down the bottom here. So you've got your card stocks, and you've got your designer series papers, your Stampin' Write markers, your classic Stampin' pads, and your refills. Then if you want the individual cardstock packs, Stampin' pads, ink refills, or Stampin' blends, they've got individual codes here. Okay, but for markers, which we're talking about today, the codes are down the bottom, and you'll get the complete color range for that color family. So we've got the subtles, the brights, the regals, the neutrals, and then with the in colors, they come in sets of 5, because every in color collection comes of in 5 colors and lasts for 2 years. So basically, and then the next one will start the following year and also go for 2 years. So basically there's a year overlap between each of those. But the marker assortments for those ones come in the 5 packs. So you've got the 2024 to 2026 in colors, and then you've got the 23 to 25 in colors. So these are the most recent ones. These are the ones that will be ending next year. Okay, and their code is there. The only other one that's different is the black, and it is this one here. It is actually available individually. So the code for that one is actually here, and it's the only one that's listed like that because it's a black one, and a lot of people use it for their journaling, for their scrapbooking and things like that. And because it's not in an actual color family, like we don't have the basic beige, the very vanilla, and the basic white, it's just an individual one. Okay. All right, so that's how you purchase them. We talked about refilling. Jenny asked about refilling them. It's not recommended to refill them by Stampin' Up because the ink in here, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same as our ink refills or the ink that's in our Stampin' pads. Let me grab one. I'm not sure if it's the same ink or not, or if there's some differences to it. But also too, if people are refilling their pens, their markers, I should say, the color may not be true that is going to match with the ink pad and all of the other products. Okay, so there could be videos out there. You can always search for them and have a look to see. But I have never done it myself personally, so I won't be just demonstrating that today. Hey Glenda, hey Helen, lovely to have you with us, ladies. We're having a little technique class today on Stampin' Write markers and doing some different techniques and things. All right, so that is all about your markers. They are a water-based ink. So they are, and that's where to find them in the catalogue or in the online store. You will look under inks, I think it is. Hang on, let me just have a proper look so that I can tell you exactly. I'll go over here, and I did have it open a moment ago, so let me just have a look. Yes, okay, there's a category under the menu when you go to the online store, or if you are a demonstrator, you can find this under shop products in the demonstrator website, and you'll go to shop products and then inks and colouring, okay, and then it'll be under colouring tools. Let me just double check that. Yep. Hang on a sec. No, it's not under colouring tools. I tell a lie. Must be under inks. Whoops, hang on. I went one step too far. Let me just double check. I want to make sure that I tell you. Oh, sorry, markers and more. There is one for markers and more, and it's got shop all. Let's have a look. So we've got all the Stampin' Write markers, yep, and we've got the Stampin' Blends in there. We've also got the watercolor pencils in there. Oh, there's pages and pages of them, yes. So that's where you'll go to find them. Oh, you've also got the soft pastels in there as well. So any of those sort of coloring tools are all in that section, okay? So that's where you'll find them under markers and more. Now, let's have a look at these markers. Now, I think this might be an old one. Yes, this is an old one. Let me see if I've got any of the newer colors. Is this an old one? Yep, that's an old one. Grab one of the newer colors. I think Peach Pie is a newer color. So that will have the new tip. Yep, okay. So I've got a lot of the old ones because I've had mine for a long time. Each of the Stampin' Write markers, as I said, they are water-based ink, so they're great for doing water coloring type techniques. You have dual tips, and it shows you on each of the ends the different tips, and then you'll have a thin line and a thick line. So the thick line is for the brush tip. Okay, so there's your brush tip. And then the thin line is for your bullet tip. Now, this one is, oh, actually, this is a current one too. I must have got, what's this one? Berry Burst. That's right. That was a newer one. So the new tip is more of a felt tip pen type bullet tip. Okay. Let me grab a scrap and I shall show you. All right. So that's your bullet tip. This is your brush tip. So you can do like different little, wait, I should do it this way actually. Different little shapes and techniques with your, if you do it well. I don't do it so well and I'm just rushing to show you. But yeah, you can get different, like you can get little teardrop effects. They're great for calligraphy as well. If you do calligraphy, the brush tips are great for that. So you can see the difference between the thin and the thick tip. Now, they're the newer style tips for the fine tip. The old style tips were like this. They're more like a pen, but not as effective. They're a bit finer, but they tend to clog up. So the new tips are much better. This one's working actually quite well. But you can see it's a little bit finer than the current tip, and the brush tip hasn't changed. It's exactly the same. So it still works exactly the same as, yeah, the current ones. Okay, so that's what the markers look like. You've got the little finger grip here on the lid to help to remove the lid, and the lids are stackable, so you can stack them when you're using your pen so you don't pop your lid down somewhere and lose it. Okay, so that's some features of the pens. Oh, they do stick on very well. They are safe for scrapbooking, I believe. They are Xylon free, and they are, oh yeah, it says here, water-based dye ink. There you go, water-based dye ink. Okay, so that is about your markers themselves. Now, I'm going to show you a few different techniques. If you happen to get ink on you, I just wash my hands and it tends to come off, or use a baby wipe. You might need to use a bit of soap depending on how much ink and how deep the pigment is in the ink. If you happen, with any of the lighter colors, if you happen to accidentally get it contaminated with another color, just get some scrap paper and scribble it, and as you scribble it, rotate the barrel to clean the tip. Just make sure you've got it at that 45-degree angle, okay? And just rotate it to clean the tip. But just be very careful about contaminating with other colors. Now, something else we're going to need today is some blocks. Or if you don't have any spare blocks laying around, grab a plastic plate or a paint palette. Okay, we're going to use those today as well. In fact, I'm going to grab a couple of different sizes. We're going to use these as like a little paint palette today. I apologize for the lights reflecting on those, but if I don't have my lights there, you won't see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got a few samples here that I have created, and these are some of the techniques. Now, as I said, there's probably lots and lots of other techniques out there as well, but I'm just showing you a few to get you started. Now, of course, we can colour our images with our Stampin' Write markers. For this one, I just grabbed out the Thoughtful Wishes stamp set because that's one that I had on my desk that I've been using last week and over the weekend. So I pulled that one out and I just stamped this one in some early espresso ink, and I've just done a few little samples with that. Now, one thing to note, if you are doing watercolouring techniques, the early espresso that I used is also water-based. So if you're using water-based techniques, just be very careful about bleeding that other ink, because the early espresso classic stamping pad is also water-based. So that means if I get too much water on there, it's going to create bleeding of that stamped image. So what you can do, which I forgot to pull out, but let me grab it, is use StazOn, because StazOn is a solvent ink, and you can do water, you can stamp in this and then use watercoloring techniques and it will not bleed. So it comes in the jet black and sorry I'm reaching, I should have got these out before and I forgot. Comes in the jet black and the saddle brown. You can get those two colors from Stampin' Up. If you are using StazOn, there is a special StazOn cleaner that you need to use to clean the StazOn off your stamps. Okay, it doesn't come off with water because it's solvent ink, and it's not recommended to be used on photopolymer because it's a solvent ink, so it can be a bit harsh on the polymer. So yeah, and I always make sure after using the StazOn cleaner, I then also use my chamois just to make sure that I take off any of that residue from the remover, the solvent remover. Okay, but yes, for these ones, I have just used early espresso, and I've just been really careful with how I've painted them with the watercolors to prevent any bleeding. I did start to get a little bit of bleeding here and there, and with some of the colors were starting to get a little bit muddy. So then I just backed off and yeah, stopped coloring in those sections just so it wouldn't bleed any further. Like down here, it got a little bit, probably can't tell on camera, but it started to get a little bit brownish tinged down on these ones. All right, so the techniques that I used with these ones, with this one, direct coloring. We can use these just like a marker, just like an ordinary texter to color our stamped images, okay? So that's what I did with this one, and you can see that the colors are nice and bright and vibrant. I'll hold that up a little bit closer. Nice and bright and vibrant, directly coloring the stamped image. This one over here, and I will show you some of these techniques in person as well, but I'm just showing you the samples first. This one over here, we used the blender pen and the Stampin' Write marker from the block. So let me show you that technique now. I'll use the same stamp just because I have it here. Oh, I have it on the block already. I've got two different stamp sets to show you the different techniques. Where's my cardstock? There it is. So obviously, the larger the image, the more coloring you will do. And that's another reason why I just used early espresso to stamp the image, because I was only working with a small stamp, so it was sort of more manageable. So I'm going to stamp a couple of these so that we can do a couple of the different techniques. Let's do 6. Oops, didn't stamp that one very well. Okay. So does anybody have StazOn? Do you use the StazOn? All right, make sure we stamp off the excess and then clean our stamp straight away, as I always say. You probably all get sick of me saying that, but it's a good reminder, and it reminds myself to do it too. Okay. All right, so what you want to do is once you've stamped your images, you want to let that ink dry a little bit, specifically if it is a water-based ink that you have used, such as the classic Stampin' pads. So we're going to do these techniques. Let's change up the colors a little bit. I might use, let's see, where's my garden green? And let's see what goes with garden. Oh, they don't look too bad together. Garden green and berry burst. Now the berry burst, oh, actually berry burst is a bit darker. So let's go garden green and calypso coral. Yes, you've got Stays On and you use it, Julie. Fantastic. Oh, you rarely use your Stays On, Vicky. You mostly use the Memento. Yeah, the Memento is also, I'll just grab that as well. The Memento is also a water-based ink. So you will need to be careful if you're stamping in that and doing any watercolor techniques. Another thing you can do though is you can stamp your images in Versamark and then emboss them in black embossing powder. And then you can do your watercolor techniques. I didn't do any samples like that. And actually that was just an afterthought that I just had. But you could do that as well. So coloring embossed images with these watercolor techniques is another great idea as well, which I haven't done any samples of that. But yeah, you could certainly do that. All right, let's start with, we won't use that one because I didn't stamp that one very well. But we're just going to use the brush tip, and I'm just using a very light touch. I'm almost just dabbing the ink in the flowers here because we've got very small detail in this stamped image. So we don't need to lay down the color too heavy. And then if there's any little white bits you want to fill in, you can just go back and touch that up, okay? So that's as easy as that is. And the brush tip. Now, if you have the older type nib, it is a little bit harder to color in with that nib. But if you've got the newer one, actually, let's actually see. Is this the newer one? Yeah, let's use this one. With the newer nib, because it's more like a marker, like a brush tip marker, not a brush tip marker, a felt tip marker, these are better to color with. So you can actually color in the leaves much nicer. Now this style, this new style, these came out last year. So if you're buying your markers now, you'll have this style. If you've had your markers a little bit longer, you might have the old style. I was going to use the garden green, but we ended up swapping because I wanted to use that tip. So let's have a look. I'll use this old one. I'll just test. Oh yeah, that's working. So I'll just test over here. Oh, you can still do it with that tip, with the old style tip, if they're going well. But the new tips are much softer and easier to color with. But you can do it with these. It's just a little bit more sort of streaky, the old style tip, because they're finer. I'll just show you the difference. And I'm just rotating the tip because the tip keeps on clogging up on these older markers. So I've had these ones for quite a long time though too, so that's the other thing. But yeah, you can kind of see the difference. Okay, so that's just colored directly. All right, the next technique is using the Stampin' Write markers from a block or from a palette. So if you have a palette, you're sort of using it like a paint palette. Now the reason that you might like to do this kind of technique is if you don't have all of the colors in the classic Stampin' pads, but you've bought a pack of the markers, a lot of these techniques that I'm showing you can be used instead of using an ink pad. Okay, so if you don't have all the colors for that, yeah, then you can do it this way. All right, let's color this next one. Now this time I'm going to use the same colors so you can see the difference. So we'll use these two colors again. We're going to use the palette. We're going to take our brush tip and we're going to scribble that color onto the block. A little bit squeaky sounding, so if you don't like the noise, you can turn the volume down. So I'm going to do the Calypso Coral and Lemon Lime Twist, making sure not to touch those two together because I don't want to get that darker color onto this lighter color tip. Okay, don't want to muddy up this color. All right, so then we've got like our colors there on a paint palette. Now we're going to take our one of our brush tip water painters. I was going to say marker. No, brush tip water painters. And I'm just going to squeeze that to get the water flowing. There we go. I've got the water flowing, but now I've got it flowing a little bit too much. So tap it off on here and rub that into my hand. Okay, so now we're just going to pick up the color as you would with a wet paintbrush and ink. And we're just going to brush that into those flowers there. Again, being careful not to add too much water, because remember we've stamped with a water-based ink and we don't want that to become muddy. As I said, if you stamp in the stays on, you'll get a much better effect because the ink that you have stamped the image in won't bleed. All right, now to clean this, you can do one of a few things. You can either use some paper towel, which I always have paper towel here in the craft room. You can use an old rag or a cloth, or you can use scrap paper. And you're basically just brushing, I normally do it down flat. You're just brushing the tip backwards and forwards. The reason I'm doing it like this is, and flicking the brush, is so that I keep the nib nice and I don't splay out those fibers in the brush. Okay, so just go like that. And then once that is all nice and clear, the water is clear, you're right to go ahead and use the next color. The tip will stain up a little bit with some of those deeper pigment inks, but so long as that water is coming clear when you're cleaning your brush, you're good to go. Okay, so then we'll pick up the next color. So we'll add a little bit of water. If you want it thinner, not thinner, lighter, you just squeeze your water painter onto your block and let the water drop out onto there and then dilute the ink. Just mix it around and dilute the ink. Okay, and then we'll just add some water into here. Now, I am getting a little bit of, I haven't let that ink really dry for very long, so it's still a little bit wet from when I stamped the image. So you can hit it with the heat tool on the low setting to dry the ink a bit quicker. I do have my heat tool beside me just in case I needed it today. There we go. But yeah, it is starting to bleed just a little bit, so I don't want to overwork it, especially near the edges. Okay, and then we'll just clean our brush off again. Give that a little bit of a squeeze. So the more you squeeze it, just squeeze it, release, squeeze and release. Just give the water a chance to run down the bristles. Sometimes they can clog up a little bit. There we go. So we've got some good water flow there now. Okay, nice and clean. All right, so let me show you the difference now between colouring directly with the markers and then using this technique with the block. See how it's much lighter and it gives you more of a watercolour effect. Bit hard to pick it up really well on camera, but I think that will kind of give you a little bit of an indication of the difference. Okay, so that's one technique or two techniques, colouring directly and using it as watercolour. All right, the next one, so we're going to clean this off. I've got some baby wipes here, so I'm just going to clean my blocks with baby wipes. You can use a cloth, you can use your Simply Chamois, but I'm just going to clean those off and then I'll dry that. I'm just going to dry it on my pants. I've got black tracksuit pants on, so that's okay. All right, so let me take a sip of my tea. I've got, what have I got? French Earl Grey today. I went to T2 last week and got some more. Vicky says she rarely gets bleeding with Memento. Oh, that's good to know, Vicky. Fantastic. And Vicky says she also uses the Close to My Heart Archival Black for stamping. Oh, that's fantastic, Vicky. Stampin' Up! Used to have an Archival Black too many, many years ago when I first started, probably about 8 years ago, or maybe they had it for a couple of years after I joined. But yeah, they took it away for some reason and they replaced it with Memento, which was sad because I really liked the archival. But that's great to know that Close to My Heart have it as well, because those Close to My Heart products can be bought through Stampin' Up! Now if you had a Close to My Heart account with them previously, but from September, I believe that all of the Close to My Heart products will be able to be purchased by everybody. So that'll be really great. So I might have to grab one of those when we're able to do that next month, Vicky. Hi, Danielle. How are you? Lovely to have you with us. All right. Now, the next technique is, I've done that one. The next technique we're going to do is, where's my next one? Okay. The next one is, we're going to do the same thing again. Well, we'll keep using the same colors so that you can see the differences. Now, this one might be a little bit more difficult to see on camera, but we'll use the same color. So we'll scribble a bit of Calypso Coral and a bit of the Lemon Lime Twist. And this time we are going to use, oh, actually, no, we'll do the blender pen next. And then after that, we'll do the Wink of Stella, because that was the one I was about to show you. All right, so the blender pens, they are dual tip, as I mentioned before. Now, these will give more of a watercolor effect, but you need to be careful not to overwork your cardstock when you're using a blender pen, because it is a little bit more of a stiffer brush. And if you work it too hard, if you keep going over the same area too much, it can actually start to pill your cardstock. So just take it easy. It's fine for little small areas like this, but if you are using it for larger areas, just be really careful not to work it too hard. The good thing too with the, it does give you that watercolor effect. Doesn't tend to bleed as much as if you were using the water painters. Like we had a little bit of bleeding and a little bit of blurriness up here, but it tends to stay a bit crisper with this. If you want to apply more color, you can go back over it. So just pick up a bit more ink on your nib and then go back over it to make it darker. Let's do that on each of the flowers. And I'll show you what I mean. Just being careful not to overwork it though. Okay, so just add. So you can kind of do a little bit more sort of blending techniques with the blender pen. Whereas when you're doing watercolor, well, you can with the watercolor too, but not so much if you've stamped in a water-based ink. All right, so can you see how I've got some different tones there now in the flowers? See how there's the different colors in there, using the same color but just different tones because I've made some parts of it deeper. Okay, now to clean these off, we just scribble them like I showed you with the, oops, like I showed you with the marker at the beginning. You just scribble it on scrap paper, gently turning the barrel as you go. And then once it's clear, then it's clean. Same with the brush tip, the water painters, the tips will stain up a little bit, but so long as when you're scribbling on your scrap paper, it's coming clean, it's fine to go to the next color. Okay, so we're going to pick up that color again and paint in our color in our leaves there. This is a really great stamp to color in because it doesn't need too much work. It's very fine detail and it's a really pretty little stamp, but it's yeah, pretty easy to color it in. There we go. All right, so let's do a little bit more highlighting. So let's add a bit more color at the base of these leaves. You can always add a little bit more of the Stampin' Write marker on your block for a bit more deeper color. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra color at the base of each of these leaves, because you know on a flower, on a leaf, on a plant, it's often shadows at the base of the leaf or sometimes even on the backs of the leaf. so you often will get shadows, or depending on the sun too. So just add a little bit of interest by adding a little bit of extra colour. So there we go. So that's that technique using the blender pens. Okay, so you can see the 3 different finishes that you kind of get. Not sure if they're coming up as well on camera as you can see in real life. In fact, let me have a look on my big screen because I don't have that up at the moment. Yeah, so hopefully you can kind of see a little bit of difference in those there. Okay. Oh, Danielle just came back from Nelson Bay. Oh, lovely. I've got family up there, and I've got friends up there too, actually. Oh, that's lovely, Danielle. It's beautiful up there. All right, so that's a quick little technique using the blender pens. Now we'll use the same. Actually, I might add some more ink. Again, we'll scribble it onto the block. And this time we're going to use our Wink of Stella. Did you know that you can use Wink of Stella for watercoloring? Some people don't know that. And it's got the glitter in there. So anything we color is going to come out glittery. All right, so again, we're going to pick up the color with our Wink of Stella brush. We're going to color that in. Now this is more of a watery type effect, so more of a watercolor effect, but as I'm coloring I can see that glitter coming through. Now you're probably not going to see that on camera because the Wink of Stella glitter is very fine and it is hard to see on camera, but believe me, in real life my flowers are now glittery. All right, and then we clean this the same way as the other brushes. So we just swipe, swipe, swipe. Just note that when you're cleaning this, you are going to get glitter onto whatever it is that you're cleaning it onto. So be careful when you're using any of your other markers not to go back over that glittered area. Okay. All right, and we'll do our leaves. So we'll make our leaves glittery as well. So what was your favourite part of Nelson Bay, Danielle? And how was it up there? How was the weather up there? And what did you do up there? Did you go and do any whale watching? I believe that the whales are up there at the moment, or have been. Not sure if they are at the right now, but they were just recently up there. I think maybe over the weekend there was some whale sightings. There we go. So now we've got a beautiful glittery floral image. And again, as I said, I'm not sure that that's going to come up on camera, but in real life, I'll see if I can just get it in the light, that the light might pick that up. Can you see the glitter in that? Not sure. I can see it, but I'm not sure if you can see that. That's really pretty. That looks really beautiful. I need to use that technique more. Okay, so that is another technique that you can use. All right, now be mindful that you have the glitter now in those inks there. So if you are using this, I made this mistake last night. I cleaned my block straight onto my chamois and I'd forgotten that I'd used Wink of Stella. And I had to straight away go and wash my chamois because my chamois became all glittery. So I'm using baby wipes today so I don't make that same mistake. There we go. So we clean our block again. All right. Now, another technique that we can use, and I'm going to need another piece of paper, so I'll set those ones aside to dry, is you can stamp a multicolored image using your Stampin' Write markers. And you're like, well, how do you do that? Some of you probably already know this trick. All right, let's take this same image again. We'll use the same colors again. We'll stick with the same color palette. Or actually, let's change it up. Let's go with Garden Green and Berry Burst this time. We won't need a block for this one. Okay, so the flowers, I'm going to put my glasses on for this because this part is a little bit more detailed. So you might need glasses, you might need a magnifying glass, depending on how your eyes are. Oh, actually, before I forget, I'm going to just fold over this piece of paper towel so that I don't use that glittery part. So I don't want to get glitter in my other colouring tools. All right, so I'm going to use the brush tip. I'll stack my cap so I know where it is. And I am going to do the direct marker to stamp technique. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my pen or my marker on a 45-degree angle or thereabouts, and I'm literally colouring over that image on the red rubber on the stamp there. Okay, and the reason I wanted to use this dark colour was so that this step stood out and you could see it. Okay, so I'm colouring over the lines of that stamped image. Now don't worry, you're not going to ruin your stamp by doing this, because remember, these are water-based, so they are going to wash back off your stamps. Okay, can you see that, how I've done that? Okay, you see that ink on there? All right, so now we're going to do the stems in another colour. Now, if you're using a lighter colour to what you've used on the flowers, be very careful about where the two colours meet. If you get any of the darker colour on your tip, you're going to need to clean that off on your scrap paper or on your paper towel to remove any colour contamination. Okay, it shouldn't ruin your marker, but you might just need to clean it. I'm using dark colours, so it shouldn't be a problem for me. But if you're going from a darker colour to a lighter colour, always keep that in the back of your mind, that you don't want any cross-contamination of your colours. If you're unsure, sometimes I like to go over the image twice just to make sure I've got all of that covered. If you're unsure, just go to your scrap paper and just give a little swipe and a twist of the barrel as you do it, just to clean your tip. Okay, I'm not too worried because they're darker colours. Now, that ink will have started to dry on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to huff onto our block with our warm breath. So this, in today's day and time, this is probably not a technique that you want to be sharing stamps with other people to do this. You probably want to be using your own stamps, but that's up to you, just because of, you know, germs. But what we're going to do is we're going to huff our warm breath 2 or 3 times onto that ink. So just bring it up to your mouth and huff your warm breath. Okay, usually 2 or 3 times is enough. Now, while that ink is still moist, you're going to stamp. Now, hold your stamp down to the paper, let that ink absorb into the paper, or the cardstock, I should say. Don't rock your stamp. Okay, lift it up, and there you have a multicolored stamped image. There you go. Has anyone done that before? Did you know that you could do that? So you could do multiple colors. You can do, I've just done 2 colors, but you can do as many colors as you like. So if you're doing a butterfly, for instance, you might have multiple colors in your butterfly wings, and you can do that, or feathers. I've done feathers that have been different colors. But that's just a very basic demonstration of that technique. Okay, and then to clean your stamps, you're just going to clean it. Remember, it's water-based ink, so you're going to clean it as you would normally clean it. I'm just going to use my chamois. There we go, and then I'll stamp it dry onto a clean piece or a clean portion of my paper to make sure I got all that ink off. And yep, it's good to go, nice and clean. Now, in doing multicolored stamping, did you know that you can also multicolor your sentiments? So let's do that. So I've got a sentiment stamp here somewhere that I had on the block from last night doing my samples. Here we go. I'm using this one, You Make Life Better. You might want to do it in 3 different colors. You might want to just specifically highlight one word and just do the one word in a different color. You can do it all different types of ways depending on what you want to do. Let's choose orange and, well, this is a pumpkin pie orange and a purple. So what purple do we have? We've got Highland Heather. Let's go with those two colors. Well, let's do 3 colors. What can be our third color? Let's add in some lemon lime twist. Well, actually the lemon lime twist is quite light, so we might add in the garden green, just so that you can see it a little bit better. Whoops, we're going to use the brush tip. Anytime you're using the direct marker to stamp technique, you're going to use your brush tip. Although, in saying that, we do have now the new nibs, the new bullet tip nibs, and I haven't tried it with that, but I would be very careful with that. I would be worried that I might damage that colouring on the rough rubber. So I think it's probably still safer to just use the brush tip. You're going to hold it at about 45 degrees or thereabouts and just colour over those words, being very careful not to get the colour on the other words. Okay, we want to keep the colours separately on our words. So I'm just going back over that a second time. That's our first word. Then I'm going to do the next 2 in the purple. So when you're doing the words, you can do brush strokes across, or you can do each individual letter. It's up to you how you do it, as long as you get a good ink coverage on all of those letters. And just be very careful with your brush tip. You don't want to go too heavy-handed or be too rough with it, because it will start to feather out, if it starts to get a bit worn or if you're too rough with it. So just, treat it carefully. There we go. And then we'll do the word better in the pumpkin pie. So this is where I really need my glasses, because this detail is quite a bit finer. So if your eyes aren't the best, make sure you've got your glasses on. If your eyes still aren't the best, you might want to use a desktop magnifying glass or something so that you can see to do that better. Okay, so we've got 3 colours on there. We're going to huff our warm breath on there again. Just going to do it twice this time. Then we're going to stamp, hold it there for a moment so that ink can transfer. And there we go. We have got a multicoloured stamped sentiment. Isn't that cool? Have you tried that before? Hi Angela, how are you? Great to have you with us. So there we go. So there's how we stamp our multicoloured images using our Stampin' Write markers. Angela, we're having a technique class today. I'm showing everyone some techniques with the Stampin' Write markers. We're just starting out with some basics today. There are lots and lots of different techniques out there, but we are just starting with the basics so that people can get started with some of those, as I said, the basics. Okay, another thing we can do is using, we'll use the same block, doesn't matter. We can create backgrounds, watercolor backgrounds. So we can do lots of watercoloring techniques. I love doing watercoloring techniques. So let's use a little bit of, let's go with a little bit of Calypso Coral. Well, actually, let's grab a blue. Let's grab Pool Party. Grab my Pool Party marker. And we'll do a nice, this is a really, it's sort of a greeny blue, but it's a light blue. It's a really nice one for doing backgrounds. Hopefully it'll come up on camera. So I'm going to take my wide, I got my bristles caught in my cap and I've made it a bit feathery. I'm going to use my wide brush. Do you know this wide water painter brush? I use this for sealing all of my envelopes. I don't lick envelopes anymore since COVID. I only ever use this. So this is my envelope sealing brush. I use it more for that than I do for anything else. Rose just said, thank you, Mandy. This is very helpful. I just tried the water brush. Maybe need to practice. Yes, all of these techniques do take a little bit of practice, Rose. Yeah. And it does depend on the type of ink. As I mentioned, it does depend on the type of ink that you are stamping your sentiment with, your image with. So if you're finding you're getting a lot of bleeding or muddying of those colors, you might need to try some of the Memento ink. And if you do buy the Memento ink, make sure that you get the Memento cleaner with it. Sorry, not Memento, Stays On ink, and get the proper Stays On cleaner to go with it as well. All right, so we have got our our ink on our block. We're adding some of the water from our brush to make like water paint, I guess you'd say. And then we're going to use our brush and simply brush over our background. Oops, I haven't left myself much room to work here, have I? And my brush is getting a little bit damaged. You notice that it's parting in the middle here. It's because I have had this one for a long time and I'm using it all the time. So over time they will kind of go a bit weird, and depending on how you look after them. I probably don't look after mine as well as I should, and it'll probably need replacing soon, but you'll kind of get the idea, and you can create a watercolor background. Now, if you want to add a bit more ink, I would, because we've added a lot of water to that, I would dry that off first before adding more color to your block, just so you don't put any water into this nib, because you don't want to water down that ink that's in your marker. Okay, so again, I'll squeeze the ink, get my brush nice and wet. I always like to test it on the back of my very dry hands, because then I can see when the water is flowing well through the brush. That's better. Pick that color up. Oh, that's flowing a bit better now. I didn't have enough. I didn't have the brush wet enough either at the beginning. It was a bit dry. Okay, so you can kind of see, I've only done it in a small section, but you can kind of see how you can get a watercolor background there. And then you can dry that with your heat tool if you want to as well. I'll just wipe that off the block, and then I will clean that with my chamois as well. I just wiped the majority of the ink off there, but I'll give it a proper squeaky clean with my chamois. Just make sure that's nice and dry. And then for your brush, you're going to clean that the same way. Just on your paper or on your paper towel or your scrap paper, just give it a squeeze. I'm going to need to replace this one soon because it does keep blocking up. As I said, I've had this one for quite a while. Just give that a clean, and once the water is coming through clear, you know that it's nice and clean. Okay, and then I've got my heat tool here. So I'm just going to use it on the number 1 setting, which is for drying. Now I've just done all of these techniques on plain basic white. A lot of the watercolor techniques do work a lot better with the thick basic white or the thick very vanilla, because it has a better absorption because of the thickness of the cardstock. We used to have the shimmery white, so if anybody has any of the shimmery white left, that is a great cardstock to use for watercolor techniques because it has a better absorbency even more than these do. We've also got the watercolor paper, remember too, if you want to try the watercolor paper with any of these techniques using the watercolors. I just want to give that a little dry. You will find with the basic white, the standard basic white, if you are doing a lot of watercolor techniques, it will want to curl and kink and behave a little bit badly, because it's only fine cardstock, it's only thin cardstock, and it's not really made for a lot of heavy water techniques. But usually when you adhere them down, they will flatten out, and you can always use your bone folder as well to flatten that out. So there you go. So there's another technique using your Stampin' Write markers and a water painter. Okay, if you don't have that thick brush water painter, you can use one of the standard water painters, but when you're doing a background, just hold it at like a 90, or almost flat, actually, even more than a 45 degree, almost flat to your cardstock to do your swiping backwards and forwards, so you get a nice nice finish. Mine's a little bit streaky here because, as I said, my brush was, first of all, not wet enough. I did get it a little bit better down here, but my bristles were separating a little bit. So, yeah, so you kind of get a bit of an idea about that. Okay, next technique. Are we ready for the next technique? I'm going to do it on this one. And have I got room? Yes, I'm going to do it here. Okay. Oh, you're very welcome, Glenda. I'm glad that you're enjoying this tutorial, this class on using your Stampin' Write markers. I'm glad that you're finding it helpful. Okay, so the next technique we're going to use is called the block smooshing technique. Now, there's a couple of different smooshing techniques out there. You can use blocks, clear blocks, you can use plastic, you can use acetate, you can use all different types of plasticky type materials to do this. Glad wrap is a great one too because you can actually scrunch it and you can get really great background textures and things like that. But I'm just going to show you how to use it with a block today. So what we want to do is I'm just going to use, again, 2 colors. I'm just keeping it simple. You can use as many colors as you like. So let's go with, we'll use some brighter colors. So we might use, we'll go with these 2. And I've got all the colors, but in the Stampin' Write markers, but I just picked a selection rather than me pull them all off the shelf. Actually, let me talk about storage while I'm mentioning that too, because you might be wondering how I store my markers. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the features of your markers is they are best stored flat. So don't store them up on the tip, because what will happen is the ink that's in the barrel is going to run to one end. So then the other end of your marker is not going to work so well because it's going to be more dry. So if you store them horizontally or flat like this, the ink inside the barrel will stay more consistent across the whole marker. Okay, I did forget to mention that. I meant to say that earlier. Now, let's see if I can find it. I've got to remember where it is. Let's check through all of my little tabs here. Storage, here we go. All right, so I guess we'll just move that to the side. Okay, so I use the Stampin' Blend storage system. Sorry, that's reflecting on the lights there. I'll try and hold that up so it's not reflecting. I use the, as I said, the Stampin' storage system for storing all of my inks and markers, my adhesives, my blocks. Yeah, pretty much everything. All of my Stampin' Blends, everything is stored in these here. You'll see along the bottom here, this is on pages 94 and 95 of the catalogue, or you can have a look in the online store for them as well. Just stamp in storage and you'll find all the details there. But they are purchased in different configurations, and you can configure this however you like. So I have all of my ink pads with the corresponding markers stored beside them, Stampin' Write markers, and then my Stampin' Blends are stored in separate tower, which is taller than this one because I've got all of the colours. Yeah, so these come in a set of 5 trays, and you just purchase them and build on, build on, build on, and they're all interlocking. The toppers, there's a couple of different types of toppers that you can get. You can get these flat toppers if you want to just stand things on top. You can get, what are these ones called? The topper storage that has like the little tray in it, and I've got some of those. I've got a combination of the two. That you can store things in, so you can store your ink refills in there as well, or whatever you like. I've got my adhesives in there. I've got some washi tape in one of them. I've got a couple of flat ones across 2 of my open shelves, which are these ones here, which I store my sponge daubers on in my sponge dauber storage. Yeah, so you can configure it however you like. So they're really great. So if you're wondering about storing them, you can use that option as well. When you do get the Stampin' Write markers, they do come in a plastic packet. I'm just having a look to see if I have any. I do actually, I'll show you. So they come in a plastic packet like this, so you can actually use these as storage for them as well, and then you can stack them on top of each other with the different colour families. This one was the range that came out last year with the new core colours when we had the new colour revamp last year, and so yeah, they were all in this case. So I kept the case just so that I could show for demonstrations for different things too. So they are a great storage solution in themselves. Okay, so let me take another sip of my tea and just take a breath for a moment. Hi Chitska, how are you? Great to have you here. I feel like I'm talking so much today. I'm dehydrating. All right. Something else we need for this technique, for the block smooshing technique, is a water spritzer. So as I mentioned before, the water spritzers you can purchase through Stampin' Up. They don't cost very much at all. They're only like a few dollars, and you get 2 in the pack. Now I've just got water in this one, and I've just labeled it with water because I do have some other ones as well that I have mixed ink refill with alcohol to use as color spritzers as well. But this one is simply water for my water techniques, and I actually should have put more water in it before I started demonstrating today, but I totally forgot, but that's okay. Okay, so that's what we need for this technique. So what we're going to do is we are going to, again, scribble our colors onto our block. Now you can be as haphazard as you want with this. We're going to be creating a multicolored water washed background, similar to this, but it's going to be more sort of splodgy. Again, this works much better on thick cardstock rather than the basic, but I just pulled this out, so this is what we're using today. I'm going to do my second color. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between the 2 colors because I don't want to contaminate my nib with the other color. So again, you leave a little bit of a gap between them. Go fairly close, but leave a little bit of a gap. Now I'm going to move this away because this has got ink on it. So I'm going to move it away. I'm going to bring in, actually I'll do it on a piece of paper towel. I pop that down on a piece of paper towel, and I'm going to take my spritzer and I'm going to spritz 1, 2, oops, just missed. Let's see, is that enough? No, I'm going to go 1 more, 3, and we're going to mix these colors just ever so slightly. We just want them to bleed slightly into them, but we don't want them to completely mix and become muddy. Okay, so you might need a little bit more water down this end. Whoops. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to direct the ink. Okay, there we go. So now we've got some water, basically water paint there, or it's ink anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly flip our block over, put it down on our cardstock, and just press gently and let those colors transfer into the cardstock. Okay, you can see through the block, you can see that the color has transferred into the cardstock. And then we're going to lift the block up, and then we're going to let that dry. So we'll just dry the block off and we'll give that a proper clean. Now we've got a watercolor background. Okay, now that is going to take a little bit of time to dry, or as I did before, you can hit it with the heat tool and let that and dry that with the heat tool. All right, it will buckle your cardstock a little bit, but basically you end up with something like this. Now I've used different colors and I've done 2 different stamps there, but you end up with a really cool looking background like that. And then what you can do is you can come in with your stamped image and you can stamp your image straight on to that background. How cool is that? And this is the second one that I stamped, so I could stamp an extra one on there. Let's continue our garden. There you go. So how cool is that? So the block, I love the block smooshing technique, and once you start on that, it's one of those addictive techniques that you want to just keep using over and over, and you want to just keep playing with it. You don't want to put it away. Like, it's really, really fun. Now, if you're doing the block smooshing technique on watercolor paper, you do get a slightly different effect because it has a different absorbency. In fact, I might grab some of that and just show you. Now, block smooshing you can also do with your ink, using your ink pads as well. But today we're focusing on the markers. So I just wanted to show you it's possible to do it with both. But really cool effect. Like, I love that. That's just so much fun. Let me grab some watercolor paper and I'll show you. And I'll set these aside to dry and I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so we've got our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. These are about approximately 5 by 7, I think, these sheets. Yeah, 5 by 7 inches. I've got just some scraps in here. I'll see what is anyone playing along with me? Are you having a go at these techniques? Oh, I've got one sheet left in that one. There we go. They're so much fun. All right, I'm going to cut this down so that I don't use all of it at once because this stuff is like gold. it's a little bit more expensive, so you kind of don't want to waste it. But it is really fun to play with. But I just want to show you the difference in the finish that you get. So we'll do the same thing. We'll use the same colors as the other one that we just did so that I can show you. Oh, wait, I did the smaller block, didn't I? There it is. So we'll do the same thing again. And we'll do this one. In fact, I love doing the block smooshing more with the markers than I do with the inks because you've got more control of where you lay the colors. When you're using the blocks, you're kind of applying the ink straight from the block onto the, straight from the pad onto the block, and it's a bit harder to control where the color's going. So I love using the markers for this technique. All right, now let's, oh, I used the paper towel last time, didn't I? Let's spritz this. So 1, 2, 3, no, it might go again, 4. Let that ink run. Just want that to bleed into each other just a little bit to mix them around a bit. Oh, okay, no worries, Rose. You did some techniques, but you're getting tea now, so you're just watching. Okay, all good. You'll have to have a little play afterwards or tomorrow, whenever you get a chance to. And I hope you have lots of fun with these. Okay, so here we go. This is our watercolor paper. And let's do the same thing. Flip that over, set that down, give it a little push. So if you don't push it, the ink it'll look more sort of splodgy, like not as even. So it depends on the look you're going for. Like, try it different ways and just see how it goes. Okay, so let that ink just transfer and then remove it. And once it's dry, you'll see a little bit of a difference between the effect that you get with watercolor paper and just the standard cardstock. And also too, if you've got those little runny bits there, you can actually let them run. You'll get more of those runny bits here with the watercolor paper than you do with the ordinary cardstock. And if you let them run, it gives a really cool effect. Can you see that running down the cardstock? We'll leave it there and let that dry. Actually, let's hit that one with the heat tool because that will dry much quicker. I'm just going to grab my silicone mat, my silicone sheet, just to protect my desktop when I'm using my heat tool, because otherwise it bubbles my my cover on my table. Oops. I only want to use it on #1 setting for drying. It dries on the watercolor paper much quicker. So do a bit on the front and then flip it over and do it a little bit on the back as well. How cool is that looking? Isn't that awesome? I love this technique. I haven't done it for a while, before last night, and it's yeah, it's one of my favorites. I used to have a technique club a couple of years ago. I stopped it a couple of years ago. But I used to have a technique club, and this is one of the ones that we focused on, one of the months that we had club, and it was so much fun. It was so hard to stop playing with it. There we go. All right, so now look at the two different, let me move the silicone mat. Can you see how different the effects are between the watercolor paper and the ordinary cardstock? I love doing it on the watercolor paper. I think it gives a really great effect. You see the difference there? What do you think? Which one do you like? Do you like the watercolor paper better, or do you prefer the cardstock? Which one do you like? And then we can stamp our little image on there again too. You can stamp the image on there in a color if you want to as well. I'm just doing black just to keep it simple. Now this is very textured, the watercolor paper, so when you stamp on it, you do get a very different finish, and you need to make sure you use firm pressure, and again just let it sit there for a minute for the ink to absorb into the cardstock. How cool is that? Rose loves the watercolor paper and Glenda prefers the cardstock. Oh, there you go. We all love different things, don't we? But how beautiful is that? There we go. So there's the two different effects. What do you think? Do you like that one? It's a really, really fun technique. In fact, can you hear the excitement in my voice? I want to just keep playing with that one. Maybe after I finish filming I might. No, I can't. I've got so many other things to do tonight. But maybe I'll have more of a play during the week or something. In my spare time. Yeah, it's a really fun one, that one. So if you don't have any of that Fluid 100 watercolor paper, definitely grab a pack and have a play with it. It's great. It's so much fun to play with. And you can do all of these techniques I'm showing you today. You can use that, use those with the watercolor paper. All right, now, next technique is called the thumping technique. Now, I was going to, I used it, I tried it last night on a distinctive stamp, and I got a very different finish to what I did on an ordinary stamp, okay? Because the distinctive stamps, let me show you. Actually, I didn't keep it out. I decided to put it away because I didn't really like the effect. It doesn't look too bad, but see how you've got the extra sort of little dashes of different color in there. That was using the thumping technique, but I'm going to show you how to do it with this stamp, because this stamp I felt you got a really good finish with. How are we going for time? Oh, it's 5:40 already. Hang on, I've already got this stamp out. So I'm using the Beauty of the Deep stamp because this one lends itself really well to using some of these techniques, especially these next couple that I'm going to show you. So I wanted to, I'll show you the thumping technique, and then I've got some other techniques that I've used this stamp with, so I'll show those to you afterwards. Okay, I need some more cardstock. Let's grab another piece. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to, I can't remember what colors I use, so I think I use the Calypso Coral and... I think it was the Calypso Coral and the Poppy Parade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that brush tip again. Oh, thank you, Glenda. I'm glad you like that. Oh, thanks, Angela. I'm glad you like that too. You're going to try that one, Rose? Yes, definitely try it. It's so much fun. All right, so I'm going to use the brush tip and I'm going to color over the entire stamp. Now this stamp has got a lot of detail in it because it's coral. So just be very gentle on your tip of your brush. You don't want to damage it. Make sure that you hold it at an angle. The reason that you do that is because if you hold the tip of it down like that, one, you're not going to get as much coverage of ink, and two, you're going to start to separate those little fibers at the tip of your brush, and you don't want to do that. So in doing it this way, holding it at this 45-degree angle, also, it might be not quite 45, or it might be a bit more than 45, I don't know, but you get the general idea. It's also protecting, giving you a good ink coverage, but it's also protecting the tip of your brush as well. So make sure you've got a good ink coverage with your marker. Again, this is another great technique that you can use if you don't have a lot of ink pad colors. Grab a set of markers and you can use your markers in place of your ink pads. Okay, so that's all colored. Now we're going to do the thumping technique. Has anybody seen the thumping technique? We're going to take the brush tip of our other pen. We're going to hold our stamped image up. Actually, I'll turn it this way. And basically, we're going to hold this pen between our two fingers like that so that we've got movement in the pen, okay? And we are simply going to thump it like this on the stamp and move it around. You might even like to hold it like this, so long as it's sort of got loose movement, okay? So even if you hold it further towards the other end, so long as it's got loose movement, you want it to be sort of more natural and not, you can try different ways. You don't want it to be definite lines, you just want it to be more sort of natural, okay? Now, that's the thumping technique. You can use multiple colors to thump, whatever you like. Again, we're going to huff our warm breath on that because our first coat of color will have started to dry. So this is a big stamp, so we need lots of huffing on this one. And I'm rubbing the block backwards and forwards in front of my mouth as I do it. Okay, then we're going to stamp our coral. Press down, hold it firmly, let that ink transfer. Make sure you're giving even pressure across your stamp. And then, there you go. Can you see how we've got the different color tones in there? I actually did it better last night. I wonder if I used a different color. Oh, you know what? I think I used the orange. That's why. I used the orange last night with the red. That's why. So I was thinking they look very similar in color. But see how you've got the different colors in there? And I've done the same here. So here I used pumpkin pie and poppy parade. And here I used, well, I thought I used, oh, did I use the wrong color? Did I color that with Calypso Coral? I don't know. What color did I color it with? Did I do Calypso Coral? I thought I did. Anyway, yeah, so you can see a little bit of variegation in there where there's the deeper colors. Can you see that? But yeah, the more different your colors are when you're doing the thumping technique, the more sort of variation you're going to get in your finished image. So yeah, so play around with that one. So getting the actual thumping right can be a bit of practice. And I haven't done it much until last night. I mean, I have in the past, but I haven't done it for a while. So yeah, so you can have a play around with that one because that is a lot of fun. You get to create lots of different colors and effects and things like that using the thumping technique. Okay, we'll clean that one off. Now, some other techniques that I did previously with that same stamp is this was a stamped image which I stamped in, I think it was pecan pie or one of those lighter colors, and then I simply colored the image with my markers. Okay, so just coloring as normal as you would with any type of marker. Okay, that was that one. This one, I did watercoloring, which I showed you before using the water painters. So I stamped the image first, then I used my block to lay down some color, picked up the color with my water painters, and then just colored the image. Okay. And then this one was a direct marker to stamp technique, which I showed you with the other, this one, the direct marker to stamp technique. Okay, just using 2 different colors. So you can do all of those. So you can see you can get so many different looks and different tones, different sort of textures, depending on the stamps that you're using. So yeah, so there you go. So that is another one. And I think that brings us to the end of all of our techniques. I can, as I said, I did the thumping on this one, which was a distinctive stamp. And I did it in 2 different tones. I stamped in Old Olive, and then I did the thumping in the Garden Green. Oh no, Mossy Meadow, a little bit darker. But see how it's kind of given a different effect. Like, it looks great, but it's not, it is a different effect with the distinctive. But it sort of gave more sort of streaky lines with the thumping. Yeah, but just very different. So feel free to have a play with the thumping technique as well. And yeah, try, like, the color variation that I did today didn't come out as well as the one I did last night, which was this one. So yeah, so just give it a go and have a little bit of a play around and see what you can come up with. Now, I thought I was going to do a card with some watercolor paper, not watercolor paper, but watercolor look paper, because we've used a lot of watercolor techniques. I thought, well, what paper do we have that has kind of watercolor look to it? Well, we've got the beautiful Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper, which I was featuring last week, and you might have seen my project last week. And then I made a couple of other projects on the weekend using this as well. And you might have seen me post that. My card yesterday was part of a blog hop. And I made another one last night. This paper is simply stunning, and it has the watercolor look to it. So this kind of paper will go really well with any of those techniques. Now, I was thinking with the ocean, this paper is just stunning, so pretty. I was thinking, look at the backgrounds. See, look, they're all water painted. And I was thinking of water, because I was thinking, well, what can I use some of these corals with? And could I create a scene? Now, I'm probably not going to have time to do that now because it's already 10 to 6. But I was thinking, wow, these 2 pieces here, which on the other side have these designs, I thought these 2 pieces here out of this paper pack would be great. Now, remember, if you're looking for paper, we've got the paper sale coming up starting tomorrow, 15% off annual catalogue paper packs. So we've got that one. You love this paper too, Jenny. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Do you have this one yet? This is the Thoughtful Journey 6x6 Designer Series paper. It's really, really beautiful. So there was that one, and I'll show you quickly what I made on the weekend with that. So last week, you might remember that we made this one together. Sorry, I've got them all in their little protective baggies. Do you use these little envelopes? These little clear envelopes, they're available in the online store as well, and in the catalogue. These are great for protecting your cards. All of my cards get sent and stored in these baggies to protect them from the weather, and, well, I send them in those to protect them from the weather. I store them to protect the cards at home in those. This is the one that I showed for the blog hop. This one was on my Facebook page yesterday. I haven't done the inside yet. It's still naked. Oops. I will get to that. Just haven't had a chance yet. And then last night. No, not last night. Saturday night. I made this one with my team actually on the weekend, and on Saturday we had our monthly team gathering, and I made that with my team, and we were using the challenge from the blog hop, and then I did this one on Saturday night, which I love as well, using that same layout, but just turning the layout that way and putting the strips at the bottom. And I actually turned the large die, I flipped that up the other way so that the leaves came down this way rather than going up that way. So, but yeah, made with that beautiful paper. It's just so stunning, that paper. I just didn't want to put it down. I wanted to keep playing with it, but had other things I had to do. So yeah, so that's this one. That's the Thoughtful Journey. Yes. Oh, you've got this one, Jenny. Fantastic. Great. It is so beautiful. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So if you're looking for any water or skies, probably not this one for the sky, but I thought those two were great for water. So these papers would go beautifully with some of those designs that we've just created today. In fact, let me have a look and see if, ooh, this one that I just created, oh, that would look nice with that too, wouldn't it? Because I would like to put that with something. What else have we got? Let's have a look. Whoops. Let's do that again. Just having a look to see what else we've got in the backgrounds. So many pretty ones that you could choose. That's that one. Now I've used quite a bit of this paper already too, so some sheets are missing because I've been chopping into it because I love it so much. But anyway, yeah, so I might use some of this paper to make a background for this and make a simple little card with that stamped image. I'll have to use some of those images I've just made for you. Well, that would be nice actually. Maybe that one in the background, that would be nice too, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'll have a little play with that later. The other paper that I was going to show you if you're looking for watercolor sort of looks is this one. This is a 12 by 12 paper, and it is also in the annual catalogue, so it is one of the ones that's on sale. This is the Winter Meadow, and I just actually already ordered some of this in my previous order, which is still coming, before I knew about the paper sale. So, but that's okay. But we've got these beautiful watercolor, and I actually ordered some of this to do Christmas cards, but then I saw these watercolor, like water sort of look, oceany sort of look papers, and I thought, ooh, I might be able to use those with some of the coral. Sorry, I'm losing my words now. I've been talking too much. But yeah, so these are beautiful papers as well. And I don't have the whole complete pack because I've chopped a lot of this up. I don't have much left in here at all, actually. I'll show you some of this. But there's so many papers. Like, I've got so many papers that are just stunning and beautiful. That one's nice too. Beautiful. Look at the deers in that one. Deer. No deers. There's no plural on deer, is there? This one's nice too. So definitely have a look tomorrow. When the sale goes up tomorrow, have a look in the online store. The other thing to note too about the, oh yeah, it is nice, isn't it, Julie? It's beautiful. The other thing to note as well is with the paper sales, it's while supplies last. So I don't know if there's, you know, how much supply there is on these papers. So if they do sort of sell them out and then the rest, you know, the restock doesn't come in time for the end of the sale, just be aware of that as well. So if there are papers that you specifically want, I would recommend not waiting. Just grab them as soon as you can, because I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be shopping for papers this month, and so we might get a few that go unorderable before the new stock comes back in. So I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but just have that in your mind. Anyway, I'm going to flip the camera up. We won't make the I won't make that card today, but I will make it during the week at some stage, if not tonight, and I'll post it up through the week using those techniques. But let me just pop the camera back up face to face, and I can say goodbye to you properly like I always like to do. Bear with me one moment. All right, here we go. So, I hope that you really enjoyed that today. Am I up the right way? I am. I wasn't sure if I touched that button properly then. So a bit of a different class today, a technique class instead of an actual card making as such class. So I hope that you enjoyed that today, and I hope that that gave you all some great tips on using your beautiful Stampin' Write markers, because they are a great colouring tool and they're fantastic for techniques. Now, I'm sure there's lots of other techniques out there as well using those, and you might like to research some of those and see if there's other techniques as well that you can find out there using those beautiful Stampin' Write markers. If there's anything that you have questions about in regards to anything that I've showed today or anything else, feel free to get in contact with me and let me know, and I'd love to help you in all of that. So yeah, and remember the paper sale from tomorrow. So yeah, so you all got a free technique class today. So I hope you really, really enjoyed that. So there we go. I'll pop that back up so you remember about the sale tomorrow. Jump on in and grab some of those beautiful papers. As I said, there's like 14 different packs. 2, 4, 6, 8. Was it 14? 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 different paper packs that are going to be on special. And remember, demonstrators also get their demonstrator discount as well as the customer discount on the papers as well. So it's a great time to stock up. So there we go. I think I'm going to have to get some of those that are my favorites and stock up on those as well. Remember to use your bonus day vouchers too. If you've got bonus day vouchers that you earned in April, what am I talking about? July, sorry. For a moment I forgot which month we're in. Yes, and be sure to redeem those on your orders as well. Remember to put your codes in. If you get stuck on popping your codes in, remember to contact me. Just remember to enter them exactly as they read on your email that you receive from Stampin' Up. You can put as many coupon codes in on a single order as you like, or use them across multiple orders throughout the month, but leave spaces in between your order, not commas, not anything else, just leave a space between your coupon codes. So then that way, yeah, the system can actually read them. And then it should, when you get through to the next window, you should see the total, and it should have taken that total off of the coupon codes you put in. If it doesn't look right, then just maybe go back a page, double check everything. If you're still unsure, then contact your demonstrator, or if I am your demonstrator, contact me, or you can contact Stampin' Up as well. So there we go. So I hope you all really enjoyed that. I hope you have lots of fun, and feel free to watch the replay as many times as you like to go back and play with some of those techniques. It'll always be available. I will be popping it up on YouTube, so you can find it on my YouTube channel. If you're watching here on Facebook and you are looking for my YouTube channel, it's just under my name, Mandy Witherby. And for those of you over on YouTube, thank you so much for watching over there as well. The video will also stay here on Facebook as well in my business group, but they do end up tending to get buried. You can actually find them if you go up to the top of my business page here on Facebook and you go to media, and then you look under photos and videos. You can actually find all of my videos there. So it's a great way of finding any videos that you wanted to go back and watch, rather than scrolling through, you know, the feed, because there's so much content in there. Okay, I think it's time for me to go and have a breather, finish drinking my cup of tea, and tidy up this big mess now that I have just created. But I hope that you enjoyed all of those samples that I had. Let's have one last little look. Okay, So there was the different ways of colouring the flowers. Then we had our smooshing, and we had some more smooshing, some direct marker to stamp techniques. We had some watercolor background techniques. We had, what else did we have? Over here we had, oh, the same again. I've written at the tops of each one what techniques I was using so that I'd remember. And then we've got some more of these ones. So we did lots. Well, some I did last night. There's a direct marker to stamp and thumping. That was the thumping, and that was the colouring. So there you go. Oh, nope, there's more watercolouring. And that was the thumping one I did today, but I didn't do it as well today as I did last night, but that's okay. You kind of still get an idea. You can still see different colorations in there. Just didn't turn out as well as last night's one, but that's okay. So there you go. I think that's all the samples. So we did lots. Yeah, so there you go. Using our beautiful Stampin' Write markers and all of those colouring tools. So if you need any more information or you need codes or anything of any of those products, feel free to ask me about that as well. Otherwise, you can also search in the online store. All right, well, have a great week, everybody. If you do use any of these techniques in your card making, I would love to see them. Please share those with me. Either email me or message me through Facebook. I would love to see them. So please share them with me. Yeah, I'd love to see how you're using these beautiful techniques. All right, well, have a great week, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you all again next Monday at 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And until then, happy crafting, everyone. Bye.